BC Steel. It has been an eventful several moments.
Joe.
Security is with Dave Kitch.
Joe.
I understand he's already tried to sneak back in. He's already tried to evade security. He's running around this building somewhere. If I see him again, I'm not going to be held responsible for what happens, and Bret Havoc's not going to be held responsible to what happens to Ace Perry in this welterweight division matchup that's starting out now very impromptu and very aggressive. Bret and Ace have had issues for many, many years, predating Premier, and this is part of Ace Perry's eventual hopeful journey to a title match, but the obstacles in Perry's way keep on increasing.
And one of those biggest obstacles you're looking at right now with Bret Havoc.
Bret Havoc's been called the Midwest's best-kept secret. He was dominating rings in states like Indiana and Illinois before Ace Perry was even wrestling. And when Ace Perry came along and took some of that buzz and spotlight from Bret, a jealousy for him. And that's why Bret followed Perry here to Premier and to the welterweight brand. And Bret would love nothing more than to be the one to knock Perry out of title contention, maybe for good.
You know, we've seen Bret Havoc been very impressive in here. You know, and we know Ace Perry, the issues he's had issues with, let's go down the list. He's had issues with Nate Wings. He's had issues with Gory. He's had issues with Dylan Bostic.
I like to point out in the background, Dave Kitch had snuck back in, and security still chasing him around the back by the back wall in the merchandise area. Perry with a drop kick to Bret Havoc. It's absolute carnage tonight. You got Mathis running around, Dupree's pouting, Kitch keeps trying to sneak in, security's overwhelmed, Perry and Bret are beating the hell out of each other. There's a double stomp, and Bret goes to the floor. This is the wildest event I can remember in quite some time, and Perry takes a chance.
I didn't know that Ron Mathis knew the word context.
Well, I'm impressed, but what's done is done. Perry springs in. Great elevation on the senton, 2 count only. But, I mean, what do you think of that ruling? Was I fair, BC Steel, in saying Mathis had to defend tonight? I mean, it only feels right. Gory needed an opponent. Gory deserves another shot. Our scheduled main event of Mathis and Remy got busted when Mathis beat the hell out of Remy earlier. So what else am I going to do?
Well, I think that I'm still flustered over how you've abused Dave Kitch. You should have seen he put a nice tweet out, by the way. It was very, very nice. But
I saw the selfie, yeah. Not the most flattering picture.
And Ron Mathis...
I did not retweet it.
Well, I bet you didn't, because you're mean. And Ron Mathis he's going to snap. Nothing...
Gonna snap!
Or anyone in the building is safe.
2 count here by Bret Havoc on Perry. I think Mathis snapped about the second time he entered this building.
And what I was saying earlier about Ace Perry is we've seen him have issues with so many people. I'm starting to think that the problem is with Ace Perry.
No, I think the problem is with the competitive feel of the welterweight division, and everybody wants to be the best. We saw Perry beat Nate Wings a month ago. We've seen him overcome a 4-way matchup. We've seen Perry face every test in front of him. And from what I understand, there are a lot of guys still to come.
And I'm sure they don't like Ace Perry either.
And Bret Havoc finds a way out of dodge of that attempted dive. And it's not necessarily personally against Ace Perry, but imagine how it's going to boost your career to be the guy that ended Perry's months-long journey to get his welterweight title back.
Well, it's certainly something that Bret Havoc would be into.
Bret Havoc would love to take Perry's spotlight. Bret believes it should have been on him the whole way since day one.
But it's hard to argue that point right now.
Perry gets caught. I mean, there's been a frenetic pace to this contest.
I mean, Havoc's hitting him with everything he can.
Cover here, 2 count only. This could make Bret Havoc's career. You got to believe if someone's able to down Ace Perry in this journey, they'll be right in line for a welterweight title opportunity.
Well, certainly, you know, the champion's always got the target on his back, but I think right behind that secondary target is Ace Perry. We don't... The prestigiousness of the welterweight championship. We know what Ace Perry meant to that championship. We know how he wants the championship.
First ever champion.
Absolutely.
And on the other side of the coin, it'd be heartbreaking to see Perry lose out on that journey, but part of me wants to see Bret Havoc and Dylan Bostic beat the hell out of each other, too.
Oh, heartbreaking. Boo-hoo-hoo. Why don't we buy him some flowers?
Assuming Bostic gets by Nate Wings later tonight.
Come on, I said 5 seconds. Get him out the corner. You need to listen.
There's an to Havoc that you don't see out of a lot of guys. And it could be, you mentioned jealousy earlier. I don't think that's the case. He seems a very humble individual.
What?
Yes, absolutely. We were talking earlier, saying all kind of words and just nice things. And
about himself, probably.
Well, they were still nice.
And Perry able to counter. Perry's had a lot taken out of the past several minutes, but it's Havoc and Perry back and forth. Can you top this?
Both men, thus far, impressive, able to shake off a lot of offense coming from...
Perry with a drop kick up high.
Oh, I don't know if he's going to be able to shake that off. He caught him flush.
And Bret comes back with more. And I think at this point in the matchup, BC, pain is secondary. You get hurt tomorrow morning when you get out of bed, because right now, this is a matchup that in the eyes of many is 5-7 years in the making if you follow Indiana. And these two gentlemen have a very deep, rich history. We haven't seen it here in Premier, but you can't pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, they're definitely going to be hurting in the morning, whether they're in Indiana, Ohio, or anywhere. I mean, you just see the shots back and forth, the punishment that has been laid out between both men.
Scowl on the face of Bret Havoc.
Bret Havoc not only wants to win, but he wants to win with authority. To make sure that Ace Perry remembers who he was in there with.
Well, I think if Bret Havoc's victorious, this is going to be a negative check mark in the career of Ace Perry for his entire run. He's not going to live this down because this may be Perry's final shot at the title. Keep in mind how many close calls he's had with that championship. If he works from bottom to top and still can't get there, this could be the end of Ace Perry in the championship picture. This double arm pile driver, Bret dropped Perry with it. After that four-way matchup, Bret wasn't pinned in that contest. Bret left Perry laying. That's why this matchup's taking place. Perry connects with a modified Shining Wizard, drives with the legs, but can't keep Havoc down. And you can sense also the familiarity both men have with one another, clearly far from the first time they've gone one-on-one.
Absolutely. They definitely know what's going to be coming from the other individual. They know kind of how they got to style their game. And that's not only good scouting of an opponent, but when you have that repetition, you have that rivalry, you're going to get a matchup like this. You're going to get that anger, that emotion. Well, I think Bret Havoc might be focusing on regaining composure more than anything.
Ace sending Bret into the buckle, and we've seen many different facets of Perry. He called himself the one-man boy band, and he's really exemplified, the attitude. He's exemplified the personalities of being frustrated, being happy-go-lucky, being a badass. We've seen every facet of what Ace Perry brings to the table at different points, and you can see that desperation. It's win or die for Ace Perry at this point.
Well, that's what the Welterweight Championship means to him.
And Perry from up high, a superplex, connects, and Perry hangs on. Ace Perry's not content with one. Clearly, Perry knows the level of competition Bret Havoc is bringing to the table, and Perry is taking Bret apparently to each individual corner. That is the third superplex, and we're still not done.
Well, Joe, you know it comes after three.
You have to ask yourself, what's Perry taking out of himself? You have to ask yourself, is 4 necessary? We get 4.
He's got to be going on not only adrenaline right now, but...
And drives Bret Havoc neck first to the corner. This is a slaughter. And now, neckbreaker, cradle shock, whatever you want to call it. And this is a very lax cover. This was a mistake by Ace Perry as Bret gets the shoulder up. Perry with 6 moves back to back in succession. And by the time Perry got done, he did not have enough energy to cinch in a tight cover, which made that work for naught.
And you can see him, he's sucking wind now, to use a phrase right now. He expelled anything that he might have had left. And I don't think he knows where to go at this point.
I think that was Ace Perry's heart acting. That was Ace Perry's impulse acting in that scenario, overriding the brain, because Perry wanted so badly to put Bret Havoc away. He was thinking tunnel vision in the moment rather than big picture.
And I'll tell you, Bret Havoc may have used everything that he has just from kicking out.
Well, the official, we've seen him have to stop a matchup once here so far tonight due to injury. We may see that a second time. By the way, no update on Remy LeVay. We understand he's been taken out of the building for observation.
Ain't safe done yet. You don't understand.
Bret Havoc is dead weight at this point.
Bret Havoc may not know where he's at. As far as he's concerned, Indiana doesn't exist.
Well, Bret Havoc out of nowhere hits that jawbreaker. Was it possum? Was it desperation? We may never know. But Bret Havoc is hoping that the legacy of Ace Perry ceases to exist. Was that the last Bret Havoc had in him?
Well, Joe, I mean, we've seen so many moves back and forth. I don't know how any man can have anything left in their repertoire.
Bret on top, near fall.
I mean, what more can you do if you're Ace Perry or Bret Havoc at this point? I know what I would do if I were Bret Havoc. I'd kick him in the groin a few times and see what I could get from that.
Well, you get disqualified and Perry would win and move on. That wouldn't help anything.
Well, maybe you turn the ref a little bit, use your positioning. Bret Havoc's a smart individual. He knows what he's doing.
Bret is a smart individual, but I don't think brains are factoring into this matchup much. It's all emotion. It's all hatred. It's all impulse. And Havoc is desperately trying to reach the corner. Perry trying to meet him. We could be ready for more high risk.
Well, Joe, there's only so much you can do off that top rope before it starts hurting your body permanently, and that's what both men could be risking at this point with all the punishment and the aggression that we've seen from both. Ace Perry's fighting it, though.
And Perry able to catch Havoc high. Great vertical leap. Bret is dazed. And Perry, could he be attempting a fifth superplex? Perry is attempting. Could this be the charm? Bret fighting desperately. We've seen Bret already have to dig down very deep. That tank must be near empty. And Bret, look out!
Joe, that's got to be it.
A flip pile driver. Perry is stunned. Instinctively, Perry rolls under the rope. Bret does not have enough in him to follow through with a cover.
I used to walk like that when I was drunk.
Bret is limping. Bret is out on his feet, but Bret is giving chase to Perry as their bodies begin to break down. The battle presses on. Bret able to stomp down in the back of the head of Perry. It wasn't pretty, but Bret barely able to stand at this point. Bret goes springboard down with a lung blower. Bret can sense this could possibly be it. And Perry barely slides the shoulder up. And the look on the face of Bret Havoc says it all. Bret is in disbelief as to what's transpiring, and I think the both of us are as well.
I mean, I'm really at a loss for words right now. What more do you have? What more can you throw? I mean, there's only so many moves that you can do, and we've seen Bret Havoc, I think, just do about all of them, and you saw that look on his face. He thought it was over. He thought it was done. He saw the victory in his sights. I'll be honest, I did too.
I think Bret is... It's almost like Bret is going the way of Malthus and just going off the deep end a little bit here.
I can't hear you, Ace Perry can't hear you.
Over frustration of not being able to put away Ace Perry. He's been trying all night. He's been trying for years.
Well, we don't need two Ron Mathis types running around here. And now it seems as if Ace Perry is dead weight. The roles have reversed, if you will.
Bret mocking these people, mocking Ace Perry.
Not to to divert the rope. But where is Ron Mathis right now? Do we have, like, somebody on him at all times?
I'm assuming he's in his locker room considering his options for later tonight, but there may be no option for Ace Perry. If Bret hits this double underhook pile driver, this will be it. Perry counters, jackknife pin, rolls in tight, and Perry beats him.
Your winner of the match, Ace Perry!
Ace Perry finds a way through Bret Havoc and continues his journey. And this will continue to haunt Bret Havoc as it has for quite some time. Moving forward, Perry is physically shaken, he's pained, he's mentally scarred, he's been through war, but Perry moves on. That's the bottom line. Perry still has the dream of the welterweight title in front of him.
Well, they say it only takes 3 seconds. You can do all the moves you want, but sometimes it's just the quicker of the two individuals. That's what we saw from Ace Perry right now. He continues his ascent to the welterweight championship, and I guess Bret Havoc's going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Who's next to step in the path of Ace Perry in his road through the welterweight division? Perry's got to win to keep it going.